The next update is regarding the migration from the SIMPA mailing list manager, otherwise known as list.case.edu, to Google Groups. Here now to provide an update is once again Project Manager Greg Stewart and Technical Subject Matter Expert Ed Rines. Greg and Ed, over to you.
Thanks, Tyler. My name is Greg Stewart. I'm the project manager.
I'm Ed Rines. I'm the subject matter expert.
We're here to talk to you about enabling Google Groups and really the migration from SIMPA to Google Groups. Ed's going to talk a little bit about the background and rationale of the project.
All right. The reason we're moving off of SIMPA is that it's really, really old. The hardware it's running on is over 8 years old, and the software that it's running is even older than that. It's not easily upgraded for a variety of reasons, so we need to get off that system and onto something new. The existing system is so old it really can't keep up with the load that's coming in. There are times when the mail's coming in faster than it can send it out, so it's really time to move on to a new system.
One of the other key points is really enabling further integration between all of the Google Apps suite that we have here on campus. Obviously, one of the obvious choices is the integration with groups and email, as you can send it to kind of a list as you do in SIMPA. There's also really cool things you can do with Google Calendar. You can invite an entire Google group, put it into the calendar, and then you can manage those users and invites from that way. So instead of having a large list of users that you're constantly maintaining, you can put it in a Google group and let the groups kind of do the work for you. One of the other, so we're going to talk a little bit about the milestones of the project. So first and foremost is really, we want to create a tool to migrate the list from SIMPA to Google Groups. The key point that I want to highlight here is that list owners in SIMPA will need to migrate their lists. While the tool does a great job of covering about 90 to 95% of the lists out there, the list owners will be the ones responsible for migrating their list.
Yeah, there are a few types of lists that are not covered by the existing migration tool. There are a handful of users that are using some high-end features like LDAP-backed lists and database-backed lists that won't migrate using the existing tool that we've come up with. But for the most part, users, it's just as easy as pressing a button and the list migrates.
Yep. And we'll touch upon a little bit more on those points coming up later in the presentation. The other big milestone will be developing supporting communication and training materials. We obviously understand that Google Groups is a new service and there's a learning curve that kind of comes with that. So we want to make sure that we have as much communication, as much time, and as much training material as possible to give the user community everything they need to be successful in Google Groups. It's really a great tool and it does a lot of things very, very well. One of the other milestones is trying to make the migration process as easy as possible. Like I said, there's a learning curve with groups, so we're really trying to, with the help of the migration tool, just try to make it as easy as possible for the end user to migrate their list.
As I mentioned before, there's certain lists that can't be migrated using this tool, where the next phase of the project will be to work on tools to allow that. Those are lists that use databases or LDAP as the source for subscribers, and also creating lists with large numbers of external users. Once that's all taken care of, though, we will get everybody moved off, and once everybody has migrated, we'll finally be able to decommission that old server.
Thanks, Ed. Talking about the current project status. So we have reviewed the communication and training materials. Like I said, this is really a kind of a key point for the success of this project is communicating out to users, and this is one avenue to do that. So we reviewed that, and we make sure we have it all up on our website for this project. We've also launched the migration tool. So the tool is out there. It was initially launched sometime in mid-March via email and through the daily. You can find the tool if you go to case.edu/its/google/groups. There's also a great tutorial video there of how to use the migration tool, what to expect. There's pre and post migration checklists, so things to be aware of before and after you migrate respectively. And there's all sorts of documentation on how to best use and leverage Google Groups to suit your needs. Also, there will be, and there has been, ongoing communication to the campus. We held a lot of very successful training sessions over the past couple weeks, and we look to extend that through the summer, including some that are more hands-on in computer labs, so people can come as more of kind of an open house and just ask any questions they have about their specific group. So look for more details coming throughout the summer and into the fall semester as well, as we schedule those training sessions. One thing that I would like to highlight, I know this graph might be a little hard to see, but I wanted to share kind of the actual status of the number of lists that have migrated. You can see that we're currently around 450 lists, and we're trending upwards, which we like to see. But obviously with the time of year, with it being commencement, things can get a little hectic. So we hope to see this jump back up sometime after commencement and throughout the summer as well, and then into the fall semester. We have about 14,000 lists in SIMPA, so we'd like to see this really jump up over the next couple months. Finally, we'll talk about the timeline of the project just to kind of give you an overview. So really the project is split logically into two phases. So the first part is really developing and deploying the migration tool, which we've been kind of focusing on for the past couple months. And with the deployment out there, we're kind of shifting gears a little bit into phase two. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, phase two is where we'll come up with solutions for those lists that require special needs, like the databases and LDAPs and things like that. And that's just beginning. We're at the very start of that phase now. So look for information on that coming up in a while.
Thanks, Ed. And then the final point is, once we've gotten through both of those phases, we will close the project out. That covers everything for today, so thank you, everyone. Any questions, Tyler?
So, Greg, you spoke a little bit about how there's some calendar integration with Google Groups. What about for Drive? Does it work the same way?
You can invite and share documents in Google Drive the same way. You just add the Google group, and it shares it individually with each one of those users that's within that Google group. So that's further kind of reiterating just how great of a collaboration tool it is once you use and employ all of the Google apps, the whole entire Google Apps suite that's in our environment.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg and Ed. And I know we have additional communication and training events for Google Groups forthcoming, so we encourage everybody watching today to stay tuned to the daily and their email to learn when those different opportunities will be made available. And that's a wrap for our migration of SIMPA to Google Groups.